I was kind of hoping for a 9th beatitude today. Blessed are the cold. So good thing we're crowded tonight and we can take advantage of the heat that we're generating, the little bit of that. So thank you for braving the cold tonight to be out here. And today we have this beautiful gospel of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, the beginning of the Sermon on the Mount, the Beatitudes. One of the most radical teachings of Jesus. This teaching where he comes with authority and with this tremendous symbolism. We see it as a description here as we read the gospel, that Jesus goes up the mountain, he sits down, and he teaches. And for us, it might sound just like a description. Well, Jesus was around, obviously, went up the mountain, sat down, and he started preaching. But for those who were listening to him at that time, the first century Jews, they would have seen in this action a reflection of Moses. Moses who went up Mount Sinai. Moses who taught with authority. Moses who brought them the commandments. In the way that Matthew is describing this, Jesus is the new Moses. A Moses who comes not to abolish the old law, but to deepen it, to take it to its fulfillment, to go beyond just the external fulfillment of the law to an internal fulfillment. He goes deeper. And he's inviting to a new logic, a new way of seeing things. We have Moses who goes up, receives these tablets where God's law is written and brings them down. He has to do it twice because he comes down, there's the golden calf, he breaks them and he goes back up and he says, can I get another copy of that? And so I can come back because it's rough what's going on down there. You saw it. What Jesus is bringing is the fulfillment of the prophecy of Ezekiel. This change of heart, where hearts of stone are exchanged for hearts of flesh. And what Jesus is inviting and what he's showing us today is that the law of Christ will not only be written on stone, but it's a law that will be written in our hearts. That God himself will come and teach us. And he's inviting us to a new logic, a new way of seeing things. He's inviting us in this search for happiness that we all have. Every one of us is seeking happiness in some way or another. Perhaps some of us are seeking it in an orderly way, seeking it in God. Perhaps some of us have spent years looking for it in all of the wrong places. We've looked for it in success and comfort, pleasure, approval, control. And the Beatitudes are inviting us to focus on something different. To focus on something that's not only external, but something that's internal. He's inviting us to find happiness where we didn't think it was possible. And I think this is one of the master strokes of Jesus and of redemption and of the whole plan of God for salvation. That precisely the fruits of sin, our sadness, our hunger, our thirst, our suffering, all of these places that seemed barren and a dead-end road and the fruits of sin are transformed through Christ into places that can become life-giving. And they're places that become life-giving because he is there. Because Jesus is present in these places. And the Beatitudes give us this law not as just some external checklist. So, do these 8 things and you will be happy. Do these 8 things in this order and everything's going to be fine. Life hacks. It's actually a portrait of Jesus. And I would invite you later on today or during this week to come back to this gospel and think of Jesus. Reflect on your image of Jesus and read through these Beatitudes and ask yourself if this is not the most beautiful portrait of who Jesus is. Each one of these things hits on a deep aspect of who he is and who he has presented himself to be in the Gospels. And he's inviting us in, we won't go through all of the Beatitudes, but just some of the key ones. This invitation to be pure of heart so that we can see God, which deep down is our greatest desire. That's what we really want. We want to see God. We want to experience him. We want to enter into his presence. And this pure of heart doesn't mean that we're completely without sin. What it means is that we're single-hearted. That God is the organizing principle of all that we do. That we're working towards that. That we want a heart that is focused on God. Otherwise, this purity, part of the purity is sexual purity, but it's much broader. It's the purity of having our distractions take us to 1,000 different masters, of having so many different things that get in the way of our relationship with God. In the invitation to be pure of heart that Jesus makes to us today is that invitation to be single-hearted, the invitation to place God at the center of our lives as that organizing, structuring principle. And he invites us to be merciful. Mercy, we can say, is our way of loving in a fallen world. Everyone that we love on this earth is in need of our mercy. They're in need of our understanding, our compassion. But we can only do that with the love of God. Only the love of God gives us the strength to be able to live mercy, to be able to live mercy as justice and forgiveness. Which also makes us peacemakers, people who can bring peace into the different situations. That the more that we are single-hearted, the more that we are filled with mercy, the more we are able to be the transparency of God. That God is able to shine through us, and through us become that place of peace for others. And Jesus finishes on a very somber note, but a real note: persecution. Blessed are those who are persecuted. And if we're doing it right, we're going to ruffle some feathers. Christianity does that. Because there are forces at work in this world. There is an enemy who doesn't like Christ's message. And there are people who are aligned with him, who have vested interest in us not living out these things. And we'll set that off. But through all of this, we are imitating him. This isn't something that we're just called to do by ourselves. It's not just white knuckle it through all of these challenges and difficulties and the thirst and the mourning and all of the things that we might confront in this life. But it's an invitation to be like him. He's not asking us to white knuckle it through life. White knuckle our way to holiness and to the blessed life, to happiness. We're called to be more like him who embodies every one of these blessings. And oftentimes we think that our happiness is in having what we want. And what Jesus is showing us through this example that he gives us in this invitation is that happiness isn't having the things that I think will make me happy. It's not having that success. It's not having all the material goods that I think that I might need. But what he's telling us is that happiness is being who we are meant to be. It's about identity. It's about transformation. Jesus is telling us that the blessed life looks like him. It's becoming this portrait of him through his grace, through the Holy Spirit. And as we live this week ahead, perhaps we can ask ourselves, where am I looking for happiness? What is my criteria for happiness? What have I placed as the goal that if I just get this, if I just receive this, if I just attain this, if I get this promotion, if I get this much money, if I get this position, if this person loves me, I will be happy? Or am I willing to allow myself to understand that perhaps in some of those areas of my life where I least expect happiness to come from, Jesus might be waiting for me there. In that challenge, in the suffering that I might be going through, in the mourning, in the hunger and thirst for righteousness, in the poverty of spirit or material poverty that I might be going through, to look for him there, to see the life that he's calling me to from this mountain. The Sermon on the Mount doesn't begin with do this. It begins with blessed are you. We are blessed. We are blessed sons and daughters of God. That's our identity. That's what he's given to us already. And the Beatitudes are stepping into that, stepping into all of the realities of our life, recognizing that we are blessed and called. We are sons and daughters in the Son who has come. So in this week, I'm going to invite each one of us to reflect on these Beatitudes and to claim our blessedness, claim our happiness. It's our birthright through baptism. So let us rejoice and receive that in the power of the Holy Spirit.